Hey everybody, welcome to another Car Meet Garage. As always, my name is Don Middleton and we're here with painter extraordinaire Dave Monville over here. Thanks for having us in your garage, sir.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
So I should actually move this a little bit. Should have did that when the camera is up because I turned my head big time to look at you. We still see everything okay? Okay. The beginning's gonna be a little fucked up.
Oh yeah, it's all good.
We can that. But yeah, thanks for having us, sir.
Yeah.
So we'll just dive right in. And how did you get started doing all of this?
So, as a kid growing up, much like a lot of us, Dad was into cars. I brought up around cars. He had two of these right here, G-Body 86 Monte SS. As a kid, I remember going into drawers in the garage, finding pictures of his car that was stolen, never recovered. And I remember always asking him about it, and I knew like one day that was my car. It's what I wanted to have. And getting into the field, what I do, collision repair, painting. Started in high school, or started out of high school. Went to the ISD Career Center and kind of just took off from there. It's always been a hobby. It's always been an interest, you know. It always keeps me busy, keeps me broke.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? You know, anybody's pretty much watching these knows who you are. So where did you get your passion for painting cars? Like punishment? Is that?
Well, when I started off in the trade, I started off primarily doing the body repair end of it, you know, cutting panels, fill work, stuff like that. I transitioned from the body end of things over to the paint shop about 3.5 years in, and I was rough. I mean, anybody, you know, starting off in the trade. Yeah. 2-3 years into it, got really comfortable with it, started producing some really nice work, and I knew in the background at the time I had this that needed to be completely overhauled, and I know what I wanted it to look like, you know, looking at all these nice cars at the shows and like Autorama, stuff like that. Like, I always thought in the back of my mind, like, man, I've always had a passion for clean, flat paint, you know. It took me a while to get it down, and I mean, there's still days today that, you know, what's saying, a little sag, or, you know, you got a couple dirt nibs, whatever, but it's, it is a long time coming.
Yeah, you're definitely good at it.
Yeah, I mean,
you're my go-to guy.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it keeps us busy, that's for sure.
Well, you know, gotta do what you gotta do. But.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, what was your first car?
My first car, my sister actually gave me, was a '96 S10 Blazer. It was the epitome of a $500 beater.
I love those S-Series trucks. They're so fun.
I miss it. I tell you what, I had my most fun in that truck in high school. Like, that was a cool truck. But I went through high school with that. After high school, this was the first car that I actually bought, and that's been, what, 12 years now?
Oh, has it really been that long?
Yeah.
So I remember when you, because you actually scooped this off the dad of someone we've actually done an interview with Brandon Boyce. You got it from their dad.
Yep.
This thing sat in the back of their garage forever.
Quite some time. And I always remember going over there and asking questions, and one day his dad was like, tell you what, you know, I'll sell it to you for what I paid for it. And when he bought it, it was sight unseen out of a junkyard off eBay.
Oh,
so well, this car has kind of a wild history to be where it is now. Like, it, I can definitely say it shouldn't have been saved, but here it is.
Yeah, I remember seeing it tore apart, and I you know, we can dive right into this thing because, you know, these are more about you, but, you know, when you're sitting around cars or like this, we always kind of dive into the cars anyway because we're car guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's dive into this. What year is it?
So it's 86 Monte SS. It started off its life bone stock, you know, 305, whatever the 200 4R, I think, metric trans, you know, nothing done to it. It was a rot box, which was pretty rough. We drove it home with no brakes.
Driving excitement.
Very lacking cooling system, no power steering. She's seen better days. I tore it apart the first year I got it. I went through the small block. I put a floor in it. The floor was bad.
Yeah.
Didn't redo it right off the back, but I got to the point where I could enjoy it. And then it kind of snowball affected into, I had a Gen 3 6-liter setup I wanted to bolt into it. I ended up trading that whole setup for what's in it now. I've got a nice aluminum head roller big block in it. It's 468. It's back with a turbo 400. Unfortunately still has the stock axle in it right now, which is getting a little spicy, but there's one sitting back there for it. It's just a cruiser, nothing super fancy, nothing super fast. It's just, I get in it, I turn the key and it goes.
Sounds good.
You know, yeah, oh yeah, it makes noise, that's for sure.
Right, and this is probably the dirtiest I've ever seen it out, to be frankly honest.
I just pulled the cover off it before you got here, so it's...
Hey, that's all right, we appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's one of the cars that I've always wanted, and car that'll probably never go anywhere.
Right, because you even mentioned that your dad had a G-body, and you see the pictures, and you know this is a epitome of G-body, getting an actual SS car.
Oh yes, yeah.
So, and what color is this? Because it's not stock.
This is actually a factory Nissan color. It is red zone black metallic. It's called.
What kind of car did it come off of? I know from Nissan, but what model specifically? Do you remember?
A Nissan Altima. I was on a job, I was downstate, and I saw this car. I'm like, man, it's a really cool color, you know? It's super similar to the original color, but it's a little bit darker, you know? Like, sitting in here, you can kind of tell a little bit of the flop in it, but if it's in the dark, it's a black car.
I know what I'm getting Dave for Christmas. We'll get him a little Ultima badge.
That'll go along good. It'll be great.
So what's your favorite thing about the car?
You know, it's just all around. It's a good, just cruising A to B, you know, around town. I mean, I've done everything to it short of an alignment because I don't have the ability, but it's just easy to drive. You know, it handles really well. It's got nice tubular A-arms up front and the back. It's 4-wheel disc. It's an agile car. It's a little low right now, but sooner or later that'll change. It needs some coils to get it back up in the air, but it's just a comfortable, fun cruiser. It gets a lot of attention. You know, I don't drive it nearly enough, so when I do take it out, it's always noticed. Like I don't know. It's the flagship of what I can do, what we can do. You know, this is my work.
You know, you see this car driving, and it's unmistakable, like that word, right? And you know, there goes Dave. Sounds good, driving good. And sometimes the most fun you can have in a car is one you know that you can just go cruise and have fun in.
Absolutely. You know, it's a lot of guys love the high-end, top quality, you know, to the T show cars. I mean, this is very nice, but I would never want a perfect car because me personally, I would never enjoy it.
Oh, too worried about getting it.
Just too worried about a stone chip or, you know, Lord willing, hopefully I don't, bumping a curb or something like that. You know, I want something that's simple, something that I can enjoy. If I got to touch it up here and there, whatever, you know.
Right, and we can jump right into the next. Still extremely nice.
Yeah.
Your headache.
Yeah. The big headache right now.
The giant headache.
Yeah. So this I've had for 10 years this year. I bought it when I worked at a dealership here in town. Little old man traded it in. Super cool guy. Was just getting up there. He needed something that was a little easier to get in and out of. At the time, he had 205,000 miles on it, and it was all original. It had house carpet cut to fit the whole interior. You know, it had running boards. It was the epitome old man truck, you know.
What year is it?
94.
94?
Yep.
You know, you're like me, like the 90s junk.
You know, won't ever get away from it.
Right?
You know, and the same thing over the years as I learned with my trade, you know, I put the roll pan on, I fixed the bottoms of the doors, had just a little bit of rust, but overall it's all original GM sheet metal, and I just turned 300,000 miles on the dash, so.
Right, and you can kind of catch in the corner of our camera that the front end is off this truck because he put in a
Gen 5 L86 6.2.
Yep, and took out the old school small block.
Old small blocks in there,
right?
Yep. it was just time to move on. It's time for something a little more power, a little more attitude, and
right. It's been a pretty cool project, and because I have Dave on Snapchat and seen it, and I will point out that I watch your Snapchats, and you'll have a buddy over that's working behind you, and you're like, oh, all this professional, and then someone's making funny in the background. I laugh pretty good.
Yeah,
Brandon boys.
Yeah, we know Brandon, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. You can always return the favor when he's working on some of his 90s junk. So
100%. Just over there last week making fun of him.
So beside these two, is there any other cars you want to own?
It's funny you ask, and it's kind of a goofy reason, but I've had an email for a long time, which is also my Instagram name, that 68 Camaro. I have a big soft spot for the first generation Camaros. I've always wanted to build one. It's a bucket list car. It's something that I gotta have one day.
It's a good bucket list car, though.
No, I've kind of got a goal in mind. I have my 90s, I have my 80s.
Yep.
There's a 70s that I'd like to build, which would be my square body crew cab eventually one day.
Yep.
My 60s would be my first gen Camaro. 50s, I'd have to really think about, because I'm not really too good with 50s cars.
Something we've had the distinct honor of, one of the last garage we were just in, he had that 69 SS, and he had the 57, 55? 56, somewhere in there, Chevy. That thing was beautiful too. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that episode, I would definitely look at that one. That dude's garage was cool. Not taking away from anybody else's stuff.
Oh yeah,
man, it was definitely like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, because that's the one. I don't want to time us, but that's one that we just had this week. If it dates you when we're filming this. But yeah, dude, it was. We've had that honor, and so far people have mentioned what we asked that question, the cars you want to own, and it seems like within a couple videos we're back in a garage that has one of those beautiful that's examples.
And I will say, back to the 50s comment, growing up as a kid, my dad being in cars and such, I had an uncle at the time that had a 55 four-door all original inline six Bel Air, and
they're such nice cars.
It was a cool car, man. It's just, I remember way back when our local car show that was Be Cool at the time, which might be again, I guess, now. I don't know what that situation's like, but
there's some stuff there.
Yeah, whatever. But I remember when they used to do it on Woodside, and we one year took that car up to the show there, and that was a really cool car. That was a fun ride.
Yeah, with all of our stuff, I've actually learned a lot that show started in front of Be Cool, and then it went to Vets, and then back to Be Cool, and then down to downtown, and it's moved all over the place.
Yep.
It's a good show. We have a good show here.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very popular.
Yeah, that's very popular. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like, with what you guys are doing with the Bay City Car Meet, it's only going to grow from here. I mean, every year I feel like it's exponentially.
It's better and better.
So yeah. Back to the old car meets, I remember thinking back, even when I was a kid, between my dad and then, my cousin very well from back in the day.
Yep.
Taking me to the meets downtown on Midland Street, and that was another big thing that kind of got me into the car scene. Back when he was the Honda guy,
Yeah,
some things never change, some things do. But yeah, there's a lot of names, that pop back up over time that I recognize even as a kid, still in the field, still doing cool stuff, and it's good to see, Yeah,
we're all still making bad decisions.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Poor financial decisions is okay.
100%.
But, so, is there any cars you regret selling?
Oh man, I had, it's goofy. Last year I had a little teal, same color as the pickup, 96 S10 Blazer again. It was another beater, but it was my plow truck, and man, I tell you what, that thing never let me down. And I didn't care what happened to it. It went through the woods, it plowed snow, it towed trailers, it was just a good, utilized, well-rounded vehicle. it kind of sucks having the daily I have now in the wintertime, but
Because you have the Cadillac, right?
Yeah.
That's all right. I want an Escalade. Who doesn't want an Escalade?
yeah, well, you know, it was another bucket list vehicle. I've always loved them, always wanted one, and I don't regret it. It's been a great truck. So.
Oh yeah, because you got rid of that. I love the blue that was on your other Cadillac. It was ATS.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a 13 ATS. That was a great car. It still is. It still is.
That picture pops up once in a while when your dad lived over by me, and you pulled in with the ATS. I think I had your ATS, the Cobalt, and my blue Camaro outside, and we took a picture of all three of them. It was pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a nice car.
Heck yeah.
So, obviously, do you have any distinct brand loyalty?
When it comes to automotive industry, obviously I'm a GM guy.
Same as me.
GM guy. For anybody out there that's into painting, there's a format down there. I'm a big Exalta guy. I've painted. I've been certified for a while now with them. Like, you know, you get used to something, what you like and what you love and how things work, and you just roll with it. But yeah, I mean, cars across the board have always been a GM guy.
GM guy. It's the same as me.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Although, you know, we actually had a discussion with some friends last night about, we were comparing like the new Gen 5, the LT motors, into like the Ford has their new Coyote out is just dominating everything right now. And I was like, you got to give credit where credit is due. I'm a hardcore GM guy, but dang, man. Holy crap. Those
Fords are wild.
Yeah, dude, stock rods, pistons, heads, they're cramming well over the 1,200 horsepower to the tire without lifting a head.
Oh, yeah.
And that's incredible.
Absolutely.
GM needs to pull their head out of wherever it's stuck up to
100%,
try to catch
man.
up.
100%.
All that new 6.6 liter is pretty on point.
Oh, yes.
Because I had to drive one of those. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We had one come through the shop, and I got to take it for a little ride, and then they run really well.
Like I said, the one I drove had the Allison when I was walking out. I was telling you, and I was like, that thing was pretty nice. I was not expecting that, because you see 6.6 liter on the side of one of those new trucks, and you're thinking, the Duramax.
Yeah, you think of a diesel. No,
it's a gasser. I was like, oh, well, that's neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely no disappointments there.
No, GM, even moving on to the LT platforms. Well, I should say.
Right.
Back to the LT, big LT guy.
Right. Just a couple generations before.
Oh, yeah, just a few.
Just a few.
But, I mean, even just the technology and even the airflow, like, I've never done an LS swap. I've never, this is all very first time for me.
It's just a fancy LS.
That's all it is, yeah. But the technology behind it, and I mean, even just the airflow on the cylinder heads, like, my big block has, I want to say the intake runner is like a 285 cc, something like that. This L86, the intake runners are 297 cc's. Stock.
Yeah. And the heads flow, I know that what the 243s and the LS stuff flow like over 300 at 6,000 lift, and that's my ported LT heads, not maxed out, but they're like 294 or 297, and I was like, and these are ported, and the LS stuff is all over 300 at 6,000s without touching it. And it's like, well, I guess that's just technology.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like my 90s junk, but
hey, I'll never get away from it.
No, me neither. I love my 90s
that motor
junk.
sitting back there in the corner is gonna end up going back in something.
Right. Well, a good spare for the bounty in case something happens.
Well, I hope not.
Right. Well, that gives you a little more confidence if you're gonna go do something fun.
Oh yeah.
That you have a spare.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's a good backup to have on the stand. It's still a healthy motor. It's just it was time to change it up a little bit and modernize.
Right.
So I mean, this still work my truck. It's not a toy. It's still my purpose. It tows the camper. It tows car haulers. Like it's time to move it to the next step. Get a little more power out of it.
And the reality of it is it'll do better.
Oh yeah.
It will. It's you're gonna get better fuel economy. It's a more efficient. The new direct injected stuff is more efficient. It is. It's just by nature.
Yep.
They use a little bit more oil, I guess, just for this nature of the beast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So when you're flooding the cylinder directly, but
right. Yeah. No.
It's all good, So if you have to look back, since you've been into cars, what's your favorite car memory, like at a show, Something along that direction.
That's a tough one. I think one of my fondest memories, again, growing up with Dad, when he originally lived in Essexville, there was a truck shop. There was a semi-truck shop back off of Pine, and he had a Monte Carlo after, obviously, the one that was stolen.
Right.
He had like a 87, whatever it was, LS Monte, and him and a cousin of mine. It's a fond memory because I remember it so like distinctly as a kid, out there doing donuts around the gas pumps in the parking lot. And I just loved hearing that and just going sideways, and like I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like,
right, and those are the memories that help you direct to what vehicle you're going to buy in the future too. And now we're sitting by one.
I grew up in one of these, and I grew up in one of these. I mean, I feel like anybody that's between our age has always grown up in one of these trucks. Like everybody's got a story in them.
Oh, dude, yeah. I remember growing up that one of our neighbors had a Monte SS down the street, and my dad had his 78 Camaro, and it was always fun watching those two guys drive around and
back and forth.
Right.
Yep.
So and I got into Camaros, and I think his kids have Montes. So I guess our parents help us kind of steer us a little bit that direction.
100%. I agree.
Yep. So is there anybody that you'd like to thank for any of the help on these jobs, or?
I do have a couple of really good friends. Brandon Boyce being the one, recently interviewed. He was, like I said, just over here last weekend helping me, diagnose some wiring in this thing that I had crisscrossed. Brandon does a lot for me. Another good friend, Chuck Barsha.
Yep.
Another really good dude. He's in the industry. We do the same thing. We go back and forth with work, and, we go back and forth with comments and questions, between setups. Between them two guys, I know I'm forgetting. Brandon's dad. That's a dictionary of knowledge in itself.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
But overall, I can't be happier with the support group that I have around me whenever I have an issue between the two, or even at work, you figuring out a color or something like that. Chuck's always my good guy that I know that still paints, and
he's super talented too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Chuck, I mean, he's no Dave Monville, but
hey, the stuff that I've seen him do is no different than anything I can do. I praise Chuck very highly. He's
he's super talented, but Dave is my guy. So he's the only guy that he actually did the hood and front nose cone of my wife's 30th.
Yep.
It turned out just beautiful.
Yeah.
Of a massacred hood that I sent you. That was pretty spicy.
It's a little rough. A little fiberglass help.
Right when they look at it, can you fix that? Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Came back pretty nice. Then the Solstice after that got backed into. Yeah. Always do stellar work and do stuff for Kyle Anderson, who we've also interviewed on that Nova.
I painted that Nova, I can't tell you how many times.
Right, because Kyle keeps screwing it up.
Yep.
It keeps money in the pocket, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, is there any shops or anything that have helped you out or anything like that?
Where I work.
Bernelli's Garage.
My boss supports me greatly in anything I want to do, touching up stuff here and there or whatever. Great friend, great mentor, great guy I've worked for quite some time.
Beautiful shop too.
Oh yeah. It's came a long way. Yep. I've been with him for 3 years, and it's came a long way. I mean, it's only going one direction, and it's going there fast.
Yeah, I know his parking lot's always full, so I'm telling you something.
Oh man, it's been really good. We're always busy. There's never a shortage for work.
No. Well, people are always hitting stuff, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I bet you it's more fun for you to paint stuff like these than it is to paint someone grandma backed into me.
Yeah, well,
it pays the bills, but these are more fun, I bet you.
Oh yeah, I have a truck on the rack right now that I've been working on. It's this style. It's maybe even get him on an interview one day. Hopefully, it was his dad's original truck.
Those are good stories.
A
too.
'98. He grew up in it. He's between our age, somewhere in there, and I've had it for 4 or 5 months now, and it's time consuming, but it's rewarding in the end.
Right. Because you can't rush when you want a really good job. You can't rush it. It takes time.
Absolutely.
So you have any socials, sir, that people can follow these builds on?
I have a Facebook. It's just my name. And then I have my Instagram. That's that 68 Camaro. Don't really post a whole lot on there, but I do keep updated between these two, what's going on in the summertime, stuff like that. So
now you're always doing something.
It never ends.
Right.
never ends.
But dude, I seriously want to thank you for having us in your shop.
Thanks for coming on out.
And guys, don't forget to like, share, and follow these videos, because help us help you. On to the next one, guys.